strikes in full confidence of victory. We declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies, to be sovereign and indefeasible. The long usurpation of the right by the foreign people and government has not extinguished the right, nor can it ever be extinguished, except by the destruction of the Irish people. In every generation, the Irish people have asserted their right to national freedom and sovereignty. 6 times during the past 300 years, they have asserted it in arms, standing on that fundamental right and again asserting it.
So, in the last week in Northern Ireland, we've had Jessica Rabbit Eyes here come up over the border with a bomb. And just to point out how much of a radical terroristic action that it is you can actually read out the proclamation at Easter, and she's talking about the British involvement in Northern Ireland. If she was an Irish nationalist who just happened to want the best for Ireland and stuff like that, Britain has no involvement with Ireland. The EU govern Ireland basically, and on top of that, she's coming up over the border to inflict God knows what on the people of Northern Ireland, which is another nation technically, so she's nothing more than a terrorist. Now that's obviously caught national attention, and I'll just show you. It's like, obviously UTV was reporting on it. It had the top Gardaí or however you pronounce that, speaking on it. Here's a quick clip of what they had to say about it, and then we'll come back to it.
A massive bomb's been intercepted in the Republic of Ireland as it was being driven in a car for an attack in Northern Ireland. Police stopped the vehicle on Wednesday during an operation targeting dissident Republicans. Jordan Moore is in County Monaghan where the car was stopped. Jordan, what's the latest on this investigation?
Well, Carrickmacross is a small town about 10 miles or so from the border with Northern Ireland and County Monaghan. And as you say, it was here on Wednesday afternoon on the N2 road leading out of the town when officers from An Garda Síochána, the Irish Police Service, intercepted a vehicle that was heading towards Northern Ireland as part of an investigation into dissident Republican activity. Now today, the Garda Commissioner, Justin Kelly, said that seizure was extremely significant.
Certainly not just a seizure of components or pieces. This was an explosive device, and it would have or could have potentially caused significant damage. However, obviously we need to work through that with our technical people, colleagues in the military, to work out exactly the nature of the device. So examinations are ongoing at the moment.
Doing. Refuse to use the they pronoun for a young child. Nobody wants it. It's an abuse of power. Absolute insanity. Absolute insanity what's happening here at Wilson's Hospital
every
School.
Every boy, girl and man and woman, forcing transgenderism on them. Nobody accepts this, they don't believe it. People don't want to be told what to believe in.
Well, this is all about transgenderism. Yeah, it's about forcing. No, it is about one issue.
This is about the issue of the high court order that's been brought.
George Brian Cregan knew what would happen. He knew what would happen today.
Okay.
This is insanity. And it's abuse of power. It is abuse of power.
You're working forcing with transgenderism.
The High Court. It's illegal.
Every school in the country, workplaces, business.
ITV and high-ranking police officers, they're telling everyone how big the device is and exactly how dangerous it was too. But within a week, she's explained to the judge that it's just a big misunderstanding. She did have a big bomb in her car, but she was coerced and manipulated into carrying a bomb over the border. Don't worry about, marching and proclamations and costumes and, everything else she has going on where she's doing public events for what seems to be a terrorist group. Don't worry about the bomb, judge. It was just, I was manipulated. And of course the judges went ahead and accepted that application for bail. So Jessica Rabbit is indeed free. Yet there's that man who's been in jail for 700 days because he refused to use someone's pronouns, and beggars belief. I don't know what to say about that. So you've literally got literal terrorists being granted bail and being allowed to walk freely amongst their friends and family and wherever they want to go. But yet a man who just won't use pronouns, 700 nights in jail. So that just gives you an idea of what the legal system is, and we talk about a two-tier legal system and, you know, how fair the legal system actually is. Now, for a bit of context, the reason I'm actually telling you about this is what I'm about to show you is a few things from one of the Pink Ladies March, or rallies against immigration in the UK, and problems come with inviting Islam into UK. And at one of those rallies, they were branded as racists, and at one of those rallies they've handed out rape bags, which, as far as I'm aware, contains a rape alarm, a keyring, and I think it actually had a little leaflet. It was just a little kit, and we're going to have a wee look at that now. So, that was a knuckle duster that people were arrested for handing out at the Pink Ladies Marches. Now that does include Stephen Baker as well as his partner as well, and as far as I'm aware there's 5 other people. Now, just quickly, here's the legal legislation regarding what a knuckle duster is. And if you read that as well as I read that, to be quite honest, that's your wedding ring. That's an average jewellery. It states 1 finger, band of metal, and a material that is hard. That's a ring. It also states worn on the hand. A keyring is not worn on the hand for the most part. It's in your pocket on your keys. So that's the first part of the law that details what an actual, knuckle duster is. And this is what the law looks like when it's being applied unequally. Then when you look at the law and you realise it's actually legal to carry a 3-inch blade in the UK as long as you meet 3 main criteria for the blade. It's 3 inches or less, it doesn't lock, and you have a valid reason for carrying the blade, i.e. hunting, fishing, or a religious exemption. As we've all found out, it doesn't just restrict you to a 3-inch blade. But here's the strange thing as well. Now, I will add things into this as I'm talking, I'll just put them over the top of me and you'll be able to see it as we go. But here's what could happen if you carry without a reason in the UK. Now, here's the thing, imagine this law doesn't get any more silly, and now lower your expectations for me so we're on the same page. This law also applies to part of a national costume. Now, as a Scotsman who clearly enjoys examining law and scrutinising the wording, and I've been asked 100 million times, do you wear a kilt? Part of a costume really doesn't imply that the rest of the costume is needed. If I wanted to be a pedantic prick and pick on the wording of the law, if I'm cosplaying as any national whose country allows them to carry a knife, do I get to then carry a knife? It doesn't state it has to be a national dress from your country or a country your family are from, and that's the issue with it. Because as much as you claim I'm being silly, or it clearly means this or that, the law's black and white, and the only thing you can interpret from the law is what's written. And if it isn't written, then you can't just apply it like you have a quick whip around the room and everybody good that we just crack on using this different standard today. Yeah, cool. You can't do that. It's black and white. Just to give you an example of the size of blades you can carry, here's a quick overlay of some of the daily items you come across that are roughly in the 3-inch range. Now, don't worry people, I've googled 3-inch objects so you don't have to. So let's have a wee look at this here. So, when you're speaking about equal application of the law between outspoken terrorists and people who don't want other young women to be sexually assaulted, it seems the police have an issue with women protecting themselves. Otherwise, they'd use their police discretion when looking at these cases. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, if the police can use discretion for low level. Now, none of the criteria of these were met, i.e. nobody's property was even damaged, no theft, no antisocial behaviour, a keyring was given, and a rape awareness bag. And despite having the characteristics of a knuckle duster, so does everyone who wears a ring, and everyone whose missus makes them wear a wedding ring. When they go out to the bar, they're wearing an offensive weapon on their hand in a public place. A metal band spanning at least one finger, that's the legal definition of a knuckle duster. It also goes down and says anything remotely hard as well, so it's even if you wear a plastic ring or anything like that, knuckle duster. So as I was saying there was no harm done to anyone. Discretion could have been applied, understanding even the leaflet said we don't have to, or we shouldn't have to, or we don't want to, but we shouldn't have to do these things. It could have been applied. They should have just brought a fucking kaboom and they would have all been out by the end of the weekend. You know, no, that isn't encouraging anybody to any action, and it's sad that I have to state that. That was simply a comparison between one story of extremism and the potential of mass violence via keyring that could double up as a weapon if you put it on your hand and not in your keys. And I actually decided to cover this while I was looking at the Stephen Baker thing going on. And this is the video that was posted.
Refused compassionate bail after asking to leave custody for a few hours to enable him to attend his partner's hospital appointment. 45-year-old Stephen Baker, with an address on the Craiga Road in East Belfast, is charged with riotous assembly arising from disorder on the 10th of June. Defence counsel Stuart McGee told Belfast Magistrates Court that Baker was applying for temporary release on Friday afternoon. The proposal is for his partner to collect him, travel directly to the hospital for her appointment, and then return him to custody. Police opposed the application and told the court that while Baker was not alleged to have thrown anything himself, they say that drone footage shows him participating in riotous behaviour and encouraging others during the disorder. Refusing the application, District Judge Austin Kennedy said Baker would have known about the medical appointment when the alleged offence was committed. He declined to grant compassionate bail in the circumstances.
So I just played that very quickly there for you. The reason I played it is just so you could actually see what's being said. Now, I don't know if you heard it, but in the last video I actually says that the arresting officer says Mr. Baker was not observed doing anything wrong. But I'm also going to play this for you, just this little part of it again. Listen closely to what you're hearing.
Was not alleged to have thrown anything himself. They say that drone footage shows him participating in riotous behaviour and encouraging others during the disorder. Refusing the...
And again, I'm just going to drop in with a quick reference. You heard he wasn't seen doing anything himself, but he was seen encouraging others in disorder. Now, he gave someone a hug, as far as I know, and he shook another guy's hand, as far as I know. Now, whether or not he's shown support for the actions he's taken, since when the fuck is shaking a hand or giving someone a hug a violent act or of riotous behaviour? You can't just manipulate laws to hem people up because you don't like what they're saying. Not only did the arresting officer say there was no evidence of Mr. Baker doing anything wrong himself, they're basically saying now that if you give someone a hug, that's riotous behaviour. But if you bring a bomb over the border, it's don't worry, love, go home. It's like, we'll see you, come back. We'll get round to it. It's a complete double standard of the application of the law. And the reason why I was even saying that the police discretion could have been used is because it meets all the standards of there was no one harmed, there was nothing stolen, there was nothing damaged. It meets all the standards for police discretion to turn around and say, listen, we actually feel those weapons are offensive. Don't hand any more of them out. Please don't hand any more of them out. We know you've handed a handful of them out and whatever. Don't hand any more out because we don't like them. There was none of that. There was no warnings, it was just you're handing out an offensive weapon for a keyring. So, that's the type of prosecution. Now, again, Stephen was involved in that, and he was lifted in that, as much as the article says, the Pink Ladies. If you actually look at the bottom of it, it mentions Stephen and Mr. Baker being arrested with that. Now, I don't understand it. Like, how are you supposed to teach your kids right from wrong when you've literally got a police officer and a whole police body there saying that a woman can bring a bomb up over the border and it can be squared away within the week, but if you say something they don't like and hand out key rings and don't use pronouns like Mr. Burke, then I don't understand how people can't see what's going on. If anybody at this point is still not understanding that there's a two-tier system and still thinking the system isn't in any way just, I've just shown you like several ways in how they've manipulated the law to take Stephen away from his family, when what they could have done is just given him as much grace as they give somebody who brings a bomb over the border. And like, it's a joke. Like, you're sitting here, you're arguing, you're having a conversation about people who have brought devices over borders and people who are seen giving hugs or shaking hands at the thing. Like, I'm sorry, but that's not enough. And I don't care whether you like Stevie or you don't like Stevie. If you're not seen doing anything, like throwing anything or causing any damage or harm, that's not fucking riotous behaviour. You can say whatever it is. It's like, you know, maybe he hugged him too tightly. Maybe he grabbed your man's hand and stopped the circulation. I don't know. Maybe it was a really bad assault. But I fail to see the importance of taking someone off the street because he gives somebody a fucking hug. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to wrap this video up, and I hope you've enjoyed actually having a look at the law, what the law says, understanding what kind of discretion police officers have, having a quick look at where police officers are willing to like apply their discretion, and understanding that the rape of your family members and stuff like that there is not something to care about, and your daughter or your young child being able to protect themselves with having a key ring that may double up as something they could protect themselves with is a no-no. So when you're watching the police walk about areas and they're saying, oh, we're patrolling areas and stuff like that there to keep the community safe, just know they don't want to keep the fucking community safe. If they wanted to, they would do whatever they could to allow young girls at least to protect themselves from these people. And again, it's they're shaping it as anti-immigration, and I find the irony, I'll leave you with this, the irony of an anti-immigration protester who doesn't like Islam coming to this country, who's apparently afraid of Sharia law coming to this country, being remanded in jail because he gave some man a fucking hug, is absolutely dumbfounding. So if you like the video, you appreciate the effort I've went to find the actual law and the stories, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. All the best.